What's So Funny? Lessons from Canada's Leacock Medal for Humor Writing. Hi, I'm Dick Bourgeois Doyle, and today's lesson is How to Embrace Uncertainty. It's a review of the 1952 Leacock Medal winner, The Salt Box by Jan Hilliard. I used to think that age and experience would bring more certainty to my life, but aside from some aspects of politics and the importance of having comfortable pants, fewer things seem definite with the passing of time. The 1952 winner of the Leacock Medal, The Salt Box by Jan Hilliard, reminded me that this is not such a bad thing. Her real name was Kay Grant, and she was an artist, but she used a pseudonym, Jan Hilliard, when she decided in her early 40s to shift gears, pick up a pen, and write the story of her unsettled childhood in small-town Nova Scotia. That false name sheltered her family and friends and allowed her to sprinkle a little fiction on the largely factual. A salt box house with its two-story main building and sloping extension looks like the wooden box used to store salt in colonial-era kitchens. Old salt box buildings are common sights down east, and all of them have a ramshackle feel. But Grant's family home enjoyed a particular unstable quality, inside and out. Her mother dies when she is young, and afterwards her father, an Englishman who never really appreciated the charm of Nova Scotia's wind and sea, hits the road for long periods, searching for gold mines in British Columbia, while he leaves his 5 kids in the care of their Aunt Belle. He supports Belle and the children with an allowance from relations in Britain. With each departure, Grant's father pledges to strike it rich, get established, and relocate everyone to the West Coast. The family never makes the move, but lives in a permanent state of uncertainty, always thinking it is about to leave for British Columbia. The old house and light income keep their lives rustic and minimal. In fact, upon reading the manuscript filled with horses, buggies, and wilderness, Grant's U.S. publisher decided that the primitive Nova Scotian home sounded implausible when it was set in the 1920s. For the benefit of urban American readers, it edited the story to place it decades earlier than the reality. Yet Belle, the children, and the others who share the home love the old salt box, and as it turns out, even the instability. They not only accept the hovering possibility of a big move as their norm, but draw a kind of energy from it. Uncertainty gives the family a common concern and a feeling of continuous excitement. Near the end of the book, the family finally sells the salt box, and then promptly turns around to rent it back from the new owner. Like her predecessor Angeline Hango and other Leacock medalists to follow, Grant had, in midlife, come to terms with that tense part of her childhood, and felt obliged to share it in a written recollection. But unlike Hango, Grant deliberately crafted the salt box with the goal of making her readers laugh. She consciously exploited the humor inherent in a situation constantly on the edge of change. A graduate of the Grand Central School of Art in New York, Grant had already dedicated her life to artistic expression, and had more than a passing interest in writing before producing this, her first book. Her saltbox story recalls her wandering father's writing aspirations and describes her childhood exposure to books and authors like Stevenson, Barrie, George Eliot, Charlotte Bronte, Sir Walter Scott, and then of course the books Lorna Doone and the Water Babies, Jane Eyre, Alice in Wonderland, the Pickwick Papers, as well as the poetry running from Omar Khayyam to Robert Service. Before returning to the visual arts full-time in her late 50s, Grant wrote a total of 9 published books. They included several novels with the pseudonym Jan Hilliard, as well as 2 biographies and a book on gardening under her own name, Kay Grant. Although she sought to be humorous only in that first book, Grant showed some talent in setting up the funny scenes, playing up the irony, and even modeling Stephen Leacock a bit in the attempt. She echoes Leacock's Sunshine sketches in episodes like Uncle Harry's foray into the cranberry business. He decided it would not demand too much muscular energy. After all, God grew the berries, and all you had to do was pick them. Harry makes a deal to lease land from a semi-shrewd local with a promise to share the profits. After learning all that cranberry cultivation entails, Harry decides to invest nothing, do nothing, collect nothing, and thus share nothing for that summer spent as a leasing landholder. In the salt box, Grant clearly wants to focus on the positive, and the affection she feels for idiosyncratic personalities such as her fun, New York-based, English-born Aunt Emily. and her teacher, Miss Higby, a spare, big-boned spinster of indeterminate age, with thin gray hair strained back over red ears, who always looked as though she had dressed in a hurry. But boy, she could teach. The Salt Box not only accepts an imperfect childhood, it celebrates instability and the possibility of change. And again, it prods people like me with a reminder that we should reconsider any yearning for death and taxes-style certainty in life. I found it sad to read that no one staged a memorial or funeral service in Toronto for Grant when she died there in 1996 at the age of 85. A recognized watercolorist and writer, she deserves some commemoration. But Grant, knowing from childhood how to laugh at life's ephemeral nature, might have seen some humor in her quiet passing. Anyways, one thing besides politics and pants now strikes me as certain. If you want to pursue a career as an artist of any kind, you should get used to the certainty of uncertainty and try to see the funny side. Now here's a writing exercise based on the Salt Box. Write a memoir-style short story about your own childhood in Tornado Alley.